building a simple maze game in Scratch. So what we've got here is we've got the cat character, and the cat has to make its way through the maze without touching the purple sections to get to the green flag. So I'm using the arrow keys to control the cat, and if I go all the way down, and then if I go too far and touch the purple, it sends me back to the start. And that's true for anywhere on the stage. And the goal here is just to try and reach the end. So it's quite a straightforward game, and there's not a ton of code required to get it to work. Let's see if I can get towards the end. And when I reach the end, I've just got a well done message. So, to create this game, what we're going to have to do is we're going to go to Scratch and make sure you've logged into your account so you can save your work. And then I'm going to click on the Create tab that will create a new project for me. Now this project is relatively straightforward, and what we're going to do is we're going to start by setting up our graphics and stage here. So we've got our cat here, it's called Sprite 1. I'm going to rename that to cat. It's always a good idea to give your objects relative names. And then I'm going to get my flag next for the end of my level. If you want to do something that's different from a cat and a flag, maybe you want to do a race car and you could put something at the end and you could turn the track into a racetrack instead, you can do that. Be as creative as you want, but for keeping it simple, I'm just going to stick to the cat and the flag. So to add a new sprite in, it's this button down the bottom, choose a sprite. You can either choose, paint, get a surprise, or upload. I'm going to choose a sprite, and then I can just search for flag. There we go, green flag. So selecting it, it'll put it in the game here. I can drag it, move in a different location if I want. Now, in my previous example, the cat was a bit smaller than this, so I'm going to make the cat's size change. So I'm going to choose the cat down here. You'll see I've got two sprites. So I'm going to choose the cat. I'm going to go to size, and rather than 100, I'm going to change it to 30. We'll see. The flag looks okay just now, but I'll maybe change it depending on how big the background ends up being. So we've got our two sprites. Next up, we're going to make the background. You can see backgrounds are called the stage, and they're on this part on the right. They're not in with the rest of the sprites because they act a wee bit differently. So on the stage, I can click it, so it's selected, and then it has its own button for choose. So either choose, paint, surprise, or upload. I'm going to paint this time. I'm going to draw it myself. So I click paint. It's going to take me to this wee graphics editor here. Now, if you're comfortable making the level, you can just go ahead and do it. But there are two modes to this graphics editor. We have bitmap mode and vector mode. Vectors are where you can draw a bunch of objects and then you can move them about. So all the objects are like separate. Or we can convert to bitmap. And that's where you're drawing pixels on the screen, and I can't pick up these objects and move them anymore. They're just different coloured pixels on the screen. So to do that and build the level, what I'm going to do is just rub them out just now. Is I'm going to stick on the bitmap option. You'll notice the bitmap option because you'll see it's all pixelated for the icons here, and it will say convert to vector down the bottom. I'm going to choose the fill tool here, and then I'm going to choose a colour. You choose whatever colour you want. It's a nice blue one. And then just click on the stage. Easy peasy. Next up, I'm going to use the rectangle tool here. I'm going to change the colour this time to white. I'm just going to put the saturation all the way down. Make sure you've got filled selected, and then you can start drawing your stage. Now I'm going to try to do something similar to what I did in the demo. And I'm just clicking and drawing rectangles, doesn't need to be perfect. If you want to do it a different way, not use rectangles, maybe have some more circles or draw it with just the paintbrush, feel free. But I'm just trying to copy roughly what I did in the previous example. I'm going to go up and to the right, and I'll go down a wee bit. And there's my level. You can make it any shape you want. You can make it harder, easier. It's up to you. And again, if you want to give it a theme rather than blue, you could make it grass or whatever. The only restriction would be, in order for the code to work, you need to have a solid colour on the edge of your maze. So around the white bits needs to be a solid colour, all the same around it. Cool, so we've got our background made up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click back on the cat, because currently we have the background selected. And you'll see it actually takes me to the graphics editor for the cat. And this is how you would change a cat if you wanted to. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on up the top. You'll see I've got the code tab, costumes tab, and the sounds tab. I'm going to click on code. And what we're going to do is we've got all the pieces in place here. We just need to get them in the right position. So on the actual game, I'm going to click the cat and drag it to the very top here. And then I'm going to click the flag and I'm going to drag that over to this direction. Now the flags are pretty much a perfect size, so I don't need to change it just now. You might need to change yours depending on how big your stage is. Cool. So we've got everything in place. Now the next stage is super important. Make sure you've got the cat selected. If you don't, then you end up putting the code in either the green flag or in the background, and we don't want to put code in either of those things today. We just want the code inside the cat. So make sure you've got the cat selected here, and then all the code that we're going to use today is based around 2 blocks, and you'll see all the blocks are separated in different parts. We've got motion, looks, sound, events, control, sensing, operators, variables, and my blocks. The 2 most important things we're going to use today are the forever block and the if block. The forever block allows us to repeat sections of code, and the if block allows us to perform checks in our program. So they're the 2 main parts we're going to use today. If you can get your head around these once they come up, then you should be good to go. To get rid of them, you can click and just drag them back onto the left and they'll disappear. So to start, I want my cat to make sure it always starts at the top here. So I'm going to go to events, and then when green flag is clicked. And when the green flag is clicked, I want my cat to appear at the top of the maze. So if it's moving, it's going to come under a motion block. So it's blue. And there's loads of motion blocks, and you'll see one that's called go to, and it's got an X and Y on it. If I drag the cat to a different location, the X and Y changes. So the X and Y is the current position of the cat. You can see it changing as I move the cat about. So if I want the cat to start at the top of the stage there, here's the number I need to use. So I can just click that block and drag it in. So when clicked, go to this position. So I didn't figure this out, I just dragged the cat to wherever he needed to be. Now, just not super important just now, but the stage has coordinates, with the very middle of the stage being 0, 0. And if you think about in maths, you've got your X and Y axis, and if you can't remember which way is which, you can actually see some arrows down here showing you. So we've got X, which is left to right, and then we've got Y, which is up and down. So the very middle of the screen is 0, 0, and if I went up a wee bit, I would be increasing the Y. And if I went down, I'd be decreasing the Y. It can be right is increasing X, and left is decreasing X. So it's a wee bit of maths here, but if you follow the code, we should be okay. What we're going to say is control block if, now I'm not going to clip it on just now, but I'm going to say if, let's have a look, sensing, let's see, if, and we want to check if a key's been pressed, here's one here, if key space pressed. Now I don't want it to be the space key, I'm going to change it so it's the right arrow. So if the right arrow is pressed, then I want the cat to move to the right. To do that, I just need to change its X position. So I'm going to go back to motion because we're moving, and I'll say change X by 10. And you can make that value whatever you want. If you make it a smaller value, like 5, the cat will move slower. which might make the game a bit easier. If you want the game to be a bit harder, maybe make it move by 10 or 20. So when I press the right key, then change the X by 5. And it's important to note that this change X by 5 will only happen if the right key has been pressed. So what I can do is I can click that on, and we can run the game, see if it works, see if I can press the right key. So I click the green flag to start, and when I press the right key, nothing's happening. And the reason nothing's happening is because when we start the game, it goes to this position, and then it checks if the right key is pressed, and then it stops. Because code happens in order, it's sequential, going from the top to bottom. So what I need to do is, I don't want to just check if the key's been pressed once. I want to be checking over and over and over. And that's where the forever block comes in. So I'm going to go to control, I'm going to choose forever, and I'm going to click the if into the forever here. And now what we have is the code's going to start by going to this position at the top, and then it's going to keep checking forever and ever and ever if the right arrow has been pressed. And if it gets pressed, we change the X by 5. So I press play, and you can see the cat is moving when I press the right arrow key. The other arrow keys don't work because I've not coded them, but it works for the right arrow key. Nice one. And if I was to stop the game and then press play again, you see it goes back to the start because that's what I put in my code. Nice one. So to get the other motions, other directions going, it's not too difficult. I could unclick this block and I can actually duplicate it if I just right click and then duplicate. I could say if the left key or left arrow is pressed, then I could change X by -5, so I'm taking 5 off this time. And then I could duplicate again. I'm going to say the up arrow. And rather than change X this time, if we're going up and down, it's going to be change Y. So I'll have to get rid of this block. So delete that. Back to motion. And I can say change Y by 5. So that'll move it up the way. And then to go down, I'm just going to duplicate again. And be careful, you see there when I duplicate, it's wanting me to put blocks inside one another. We don't want to do that. We only want the ifs to be stacked on top. The order of them doesn't matter, so you could do the up key first and then the left key. It doesn't matter as long as they're all separate ifs for the time being. So the last one is if key down arrow pressed. I'm going to change Y by -5. Now if I clip all of these inside my forever so they keep getting checked if each key has been pressed over and over, I should have a cat that moves about the screen. Let me just check. There we go. It's working. Only thing is, he's not disappearing when he touches blue, and we need to get the game to stop when we touch the flag at the end. But using this structure we've got already with the if inside the forever, it's quite easy to do actually. So what I can say is, grab another if, and this time I'm going to say if, and again I'm going into sensing. And there's a whole bunch of different things we can do here, but I'm going to say touching colour. If touching colour, and it's like an olive green just now, but if you click the colour, there should be a wee dropper tool in the bottom. Just choose that, and then you can choose which colour you want, so blue for me. So if touching colour, and there's the right colour of blue, I want my cat to go back to the start. And I know the start position is this one here, the one we originally used. So I'm just going to unclick that for a second. I'm going to duplicate that block and paste it in. So we've got if touching colour blue, go back to this position. All we need to do now is to drag it in. So it doesn't matter if you put it above the arrow keys or if you put it below. I'll put it below just for the sake of consistency here. I'm going to zoom out so we can see a bit better and drag that if into the bottom. And now every time the game starts, it's going to be checking if the right key, left key, up key and down key have been pressed, and then it will check if it's touching the colour blue. And if it is, it will move it back to the start. So if I press play, If I go down, hopefully when I hit the bottom, it takes me back to the start. If I try to go left or right, you can see it's just bounced me back to the start. Nice one. So all that's left is to get the flag at the end working. And again, it's a super similar structure. We're going to use an if, and it's going to be another sensing block, and this time it's going to be touching. So if touching, and we've got mouse pointer just now, but if I click that, I can choose different things in my game, and I want the green flag. If touching green flag, then I'm going to get the cat to say well done for 2 seconds. So that's in the looks block there, a purple one. I'm going to say well done. And then I want my game to end. And the command to end the game is under control. So I'll go to control. And you'll see the stop block. I'm going to drag that in, clip it underneath. And you see there's the stop block's interesting because there's nothing underneath it. And that's because you're stopping code. There will be no code after it. So I clip that in. So if it touches the green flag, say well done for 2 seconds and then stop all. And that will stop all the code in my game. There are a couple of different options, but for this game here, we're just stopping everything. And that's the last thing we have to do. So if I zoom out again, so we got a bit of space, and I'll clip that into my forever to make sure it keeps getting checked if it's touching the green flag. And then I think the game is done at this point. So let's run it to try. Touching the blue takes you to the start. Hopefully I've got enough room here with the cat. Yeah, it looks like it's fine. If you've not got enough room, you can go back and change the stage. And I'm right above the green flag. When I touch it, it says well done. So that's all the code we need here. And again, all we really used are the forever and if blocks. And with them, we're able to constantly check things in our game. If the keys are getting pressed, if it's touching colours, if it's touching different objects, we're able to build a simple game. So I'll leave this code here. You can get it copied down if you haven't done so far. Well done.